You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 139.4, our Madison County girls basketball preview, with interviews with Frankton head coach Brent Brobston, Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King, and Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry. The segment is co-hosted by Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader, and our special guest to talk about the Madison County Tournament is Rob Hunt of the Herald-Bulletin.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2025 Madison County Boys Basketball Preview. First, I'm going to do a short history lesson on the Madison County Tournament, and then I'm going to talk with Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader about the tournament, and we're going to pick each of the games on Tuesday. Yes, this podcast is a little late today, but now that we've found out that the tournament has been moved to Tuesday, I had plenty of time, and you will have plenty of time to listen to it before the tournament begins. Then I'm joined by Rob Hunt of the Herald-Bulletin. Not many people know much more about Madison County sports than Rob Hunt does, so should be a great podcast. We also had a girls preview released earlier. Please go back and listen to that one. As you probably know, Anderson enters the tournament as the favorites, and the Indians have won 3 county championships in a row, 9 total. That's the most. Pendleton Heights has the second most with 6. Most people would probably consider Pendleton Heights the runner-up favorite, as it were. Anderson Highland is still in third place with 2 championships. Lapel, Liberty Christian, Frankton, and Alexandria have all won 1 apiece. Before Anderson recently returned to glory. Well, maybe not completely back to glory, but returned to its days of being the dominant power in town. The tournament had been wide open before that. Alexandria won in 2020 under Marty Carroll. Frankton won in 2019 under their current coach, Brent Brobston. Pendleton won under Adam Ballard in 2021 and under Kevin Bates in 2018 and 17. Lapel won the 2016 championship under legendary head coach Jimmy Howell. Jason Chappell led Liberty Christian to the championship in 2015. Anderson won in 2014 and 13. Before that, Pendleton won 3 in a row. Brian Hahn was the head coach of those teams. Highland won 2 out of 3, 2007 and 2009, and 2003. So they won 3 of the first 7. Anderson won the other 4 under another legendary head coach, Ron Hedklinski. Coming up in my interviews with Michelle Garmon and then Rob Hunt, we said the games were on Monday. Of course, those games are now going to be played on Tuesday. The rest of the games will be played as scheduled. The boys on Wednesday in the semifinals and the championship on Friday. I should say the final round on Friday. Everyone will continue to play in the tournament, whether they win or lose. It's for the girls, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The games Tuesday night are girls, boys doubleheader. They start at 6 o'clock, with the boys to follow at 7:30. Then the second round and the final round will be played at host locations, with boys doubleheaders in both boys doubleheaders in different locations and the 2 girls doubleheaders in another location. I don't feel like I did an incredible job at explaining that, but I think you followed along, and most of you already know what's going on. So here is Michelle Garmon and our breakdown of the Madison County Tournament and our game picks for Tuesday. Welcome to the Boys Madison County Basketball Tournament Championship Preview, a tournament that's been dominated by Anderson the last few years, and looks like they're the favorite to win it this year.
I would definitely call the Indians the two-time defending champions the favorite as long as they have the King kid on their team. It's a good basketball team. They have a lot. Although I will say, I think that we could see a lot more competitive first round games in the boys, perhaps, than we'll see in the girls.
Yeah, maybe. I think, like I said on the girls' preview, this one seems a lot more like it's a bit like it's seeded. The exception being Lapel and Pendleton playing each other in the first round. Those two are, again, two of the three best, maybe four best teams in the tournament.
Yes, and I don't know. When you talked to Rob, did he say is Lapel? Are they healthy? Is the other
Yes,
judge kid
yes,
back now?
yes. He said they're healthy.
Okay, so that could be a really competitive game then.
Yes, and it was a 7 point game earlier this year. Pendleton Heights won. That game was at Lapel. This one is at Pendleton, so you'd think it would be more. But that game, I believe Lapel led maybe even midway through the fourth quarter, but at
Yeah, and they
least,
were missing one or two players that game
yeah.
too. So that
But
was one of the games that the judge missed.
Anderson Prep is 5-2. Frankton is 2-5. So obviously Anderson Prep is the favorite, right? That is not the case. Frankton is a very good 2-5. In fact, let me give you their five losses, Michelle. Their five losses have been to Lapel, Tipton, Oak Hill, Wapahani, and Monroe Central. Five really good teams. They also have a win against a pretty good Eastbrook team. So no prove it to me wins, but a lot of competitive losses against good teams. Anderson Prep is 5-2. I would have guessed that until they beat Seton Catholic 70-63, I thought it was a little fluky. And then they go to Liberty Christian, lead almost the entire game, end up losing by 2 points. So they kind of had to prove me one. So yes, Frankton is probably the favorite going into this game, but it's definitely not a no doubter.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that Coach Brobston would probably disagree with you as far as calling his team the favorite. And I'm not so sure that Brent would want to say that Frankton is the favorite. One, it's always kind of nice to be the underdog, and because he would have a lot of respect. Anderson. This is not your normal. Again, like we said for the girls, but for the boys, this really, really is not your normal Anderson prep.
Sure doesn't seem to be.
No, I mean, they have been, um, you know, competitive in their two losses. They've got some nice wins. Um, they're gonna be they're gonna be a test for Frankton. It's that game is gonna be, I think, highly competitive. Now, that said, I do think where I think Frankton's their schedule is going to help, but then APA has not necessarily been a uh, a cupcake schedule either.
No, it
So
hasn't.
it hasn't. The key for Frankton really is going to be how well they shoot the ball, or how well Anderson Prep does, because Frankton has really struggled from outside the 3-point arc, and I really think it's an area of their game that is going to have to improve for them to be successful in the county tournament and to be successful in the sectional down the road. Just because there are too many teams that can hit from deep, and you know, um, you just they've I think they need to be able to knock down more than a couple threes a game. Um, that said, I think playing um, the weekend of it was it this last weekend, right? They played Wapahani Central weekend before. It was the weekend before, right?
Yes.
So I think
They've been off since December 28th.
okay, yeah. So I think playing those games and then taking some time off, I think has been good. I also think that, Frankton's been here before, and this is about the time of year they kind of make a turnaround and start to get hot. So I think this game, if you were an odds maker, would maybe call it a draw or close to a draw. I don't think there's an overwhelming favorite. But
Well, we'll get we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to do our pick in a minute. First, I want to get to the coaches. I did talk to Brent Brobston earlier on Sunday afternoon, and he said there is no panic in being 2-5, obviously, against that schedule. And I believe that this is where they start to make their run. That's going to be my prediction early on. But real fast, let's hear from Frankton head coach Brent Brobston about his Eagles being 2-5, the Madison County Tournament, and the first round matchup with a much improved Anderson Prep program. Coach, I spoke with Rob Hunt, an interview that's going to be coming on after this, after our preview here, and said, obviously the record is disappointing, mostly because of the standard that you set um, at Frankton as a program. Obviously, going 2-5 against that schedule, nobody's thinking you're not good. But according to the standards you set, but winning some games in the Madison County Tournament can start to change that pretty fast, can't it?
Yeah, I think so, and it's not unfamiliar territory. I would say that there's been quite a few seasons where going into the tournament we've had a losing record. In fact, the year we won the state championship, I think we were 4-5 going maybe into or finishing that county tournament. So we've always made our schedule difficult through January as hard as we can to test us. We would not know where we are as a team right now had we played a weak schedule, and it wouldn't have told us what we need to know about getting better. So I think that's extremely important, especially postseason, because if you just come off and win, and you don't really get a look at film and see what you did wrong, and I'm not opposed to being 7-0, don't get me wrong, but we had to have challenges there that would challenge us to see, what are we doing wrong? What can we get better at? And now I think going into this game, we are finally in a position where I feel real good about what we're doing offensively and defensively. And this is probably the first game I can say that headed into this game where we feel very organized about where we're at.
And speaking of challenges, it's going to kind of go in succession here if you want to win the Madison County Championship. And it just starts with pretty tough with a pretty good APA team and then gets a little harder each step of the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This year's tournament, Anderson Preparatory Academy is having a great season. They're 5-2, a very good team. They're very well organized as well, disciplined in what they've been running and doing. And I've watched a lot of film on them and spent a lot of time in the past 4 or 5 days really getting ready for this game. So this is going to be quite a challenge. They're a very good team with some really, really nice, solid players. So it's really not getting any easier for us. Our strength of schedule right now is as high as it's been on the Sagarin ratings that we've ever had since I've been here. So It's not going to go any lower right now. It's probably only going to rise during this week. And but that's not a bad thing for us. That's good for us. And, we're where we think we need to be right now. And now we're going to see against another really good team. How do we react and how do we play, and are we better?
And that's the best Anderson Prep team you've seen?
They've had some solid teams there in the past before as well. And I remember in 2014, we played them in the county and we trailed them at halftime. We came back to win that game. But, it is one of the better teams that they've had in the past several years. So happy for their coach. He's done a good job. And Corey that was there before him, I had a lot of respect for him as well. He did a very good job there too. But Ryan's done a real good job with this program, with this team in his first couple of years. And it's going to present a challenge in many different ways, and they beat some good teams along the way already to get to 5-2, and almost beat Liberty Christian. So it took them
Right.
to, I think a 3-point game was the final on that. But yeah, it's going to be another challenge ahead of us.
And I know you're only concerned right now with Anderson Prep, but this field includes an Anderson team that's one of the best in the state, Pendleton team that's really good, Lapel team, obviously a very good team, Anderson Prep, Liberty, a lot of really good teams in this tournament.
Yeah, no, you can go down the list. The Lapel team, obviously, we think is very talented, and they're capable of winning each night in this thing. And now Anderson and Pendleton are probably on top here, and Liberty. Those are the three I would say that people are looking at right now. But you got to throw the ball up and play it. So Anderson's having a great year. Really good players, led by Damian King, who's a tremendous player. So Pendleton Heights got Coach Buck there. So, I mean, when you talk about history and discipline and the way a program's run, there's probably nobody you're going to find that does it any better than what he's done in his career. And so they're going to be tough. And every night's going to be difficult. And it doesn't matter all the way down through the bottom, all these teams that are in it, I've been around each one of these coaches. I've known most of them for years. And the preparation that they put in to get ready for these games, each night can be very interesting. And that's the way it's been in the past. So you can kind of throw some of the records out, but obviously Anderson's the team I think to beat. And that's who everybody's going to be gunning for.
I also spoke with Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King about his Jets' historic season and their path in the Madison County Tournament. Coach, this team has already made some history early in the season. Now, the Madison County Tournament approaches, a chance to make a little bit more and pick up some good wins against some good teams.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We know it's a tremendous challenge. With Frankton, in the first round, and then if we're able to move past them, then most likely Liberty Christian, and then Anderson. So it's it's a lot. It's a challenge, but we're looking forward to it.
And if you win even a game in the tournament, you would equal your program record for wins in a season. So that's out there as well. So again, it's been a heck of a good season already, with a chance to just add to it going forward.
Yeah, and you know what? Our kids, we're so lucky. We've got great kids, and they've worked their tails off, and we're really excited to be where we're at. But even more so with what we've got left. I mean, we've only played 7 games of a 22, 23 game season, and so we've got a lot. We've done great, but we're looking hopefully forward to some really special things coming up.
Before we talk about Frankton specifically, what was the break like for the Jets?
Well, we haven't played since we played Liberty.
Right.
So it's going to be almost a 3-week layoff for us.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids, I think we practiced, gave them some time off, obviously, but I think our kids are ready just to play somebody else. They're tired of kind of beating on each other, and so they're ready to play somebody else. But it was good. We learned quite a bit, not only about ourselves. We worked, of course, towards Frankton, and it was good. But I think we're ready.
And now you're 5-2 playing against a 2-5 Frankton team, so you should just beat them easily, right?
Well, I wish it worked that way.
Yes.
But Coach Brobston and his staff do a phenomenal job, and that Frankton is led by a couple of kids, Joey Wright and Carmack, and those kids, and it's really ironic. It's rough that we played Seton Catholic earlier and beat them, and everybody thought, we talked about that earlier about their record's not great, but they are a good team, and Frankton is the same way. You look at Frankton's their record; they have not been beaten by any chumps. That's for sure.
No.
And so we've scouted them. I've seen them play 4 times, and excuse me. And our kids have gone to those games as well, or at least some of them, and they know. We've preached and we've talked about it. Hey, Frankton, their record is not where I'm sure Coach Brobston wants it to be, but they are not a 2-5 team.
No, they are not. No, they are not.
So we're going into it, and we're playing the underdog role. At least that's what we're preaching.
Yeah.
And so, hey, it's at Frankton. It's going to be a tough game, and our kids understand that.
And honestly, there are different levels of tough, but there is not a lot of easy wins in this tournament, no matter who you're playing.
No, there are, there are teams playing in this county tournament that there are, whatever terminology you want to use, landmines, whatever. But
Yeah.
The truth is, every single team that you're going to play presents a new challenge, and it's something that you're going to have to prepare for because there are no easy outs.
Michelle, I know you say it's a toss-up, but maybe I'm just too much of a homer for Frankton, or maybe I just don't believe in Anderson Prep yet. But I say Frankton by 11.
Oh, I think Frankton will win. I think it's going to be a little closer than that. This Anderson Prep team, it's those kids. Even though they lost to Liberty Christian like they did, the win over to be there and late, and to have the lead that they did early, it's going to be a confident group. Fast-hour kid,
Yeah.
He can knock down some shots.
Yes, he can.
It's going to be very important for Frankton to win the battle on the glass. I think Frankton will win. I just think it'll be a little bit closer. I think it'll be single digits.
Probably a little bit less competitive game that we're expecting in the other part of that side of the bracket. 5-4 Liberty Christian. A very good 5-4, by the way. Excellent schedule that they play at 2-6 Elwood. We expect Liberty to come out of this one.
I do. This could. I think this game and the Anderson Ellick game are going to be two games that they're going to be the most dominant games of the night. How's that? Or the opening round. I don't think Anderson is going to have very much trouble with Alexandria, and I don't think Liberty Christian will have a lot of trouble with Elwood. And a part of that is Liberty Christian is very athletic, and they can really, when they really want to turn up the pressure on that defense, they can. And that's what they did against the Anderson Prep. I've seen it firsthand. I saw them do it to Tri Central into like the second and then the fourth quarter last year. They don't have to be hitting shots as long as they stay within range, and because their defense, I mean, no lie, they can create 3 turnovers and go on a 6-0 run in less than 30 seconds. I mean, that's just how good they are at that pressure defense when they get into it. And their athleticism and being able to do that defense kind of really, it's what Elwood can't really, they don't have the athletes to run the floor. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ryan's going to have a great game plan in place. Elwood's going to try to do their best to control tempo, make it a half-court game, and not a delay, but really work the clock to control that tempo to limit Liberty Christian's possessions. And they might be able to do it. But I just don't. I don't think Elwood really has playmaking guards to handle that Liberty Christian pressure.
So, Michelle, the question is, can Elwood keep the game within 31 points?
That's kind of tough because, it is going to be at Elwood. So that will be the one nice thing for the Panthers. Because I know they've lost on their home court, but I don't know that they've gotten beat by over 30 points on their home court yet this year.
I don't think they've lost on their home court, Michelle. I believe that they are 2-0 on their home court.
Okay, so see, I mean, they have a little bit there advantage. And you said 31 Liberty Christian.
Yes.
Can Elwood? I will say.
Yeah, Elwood is 2-0 on their home court.
because it is on their home court, I think it's probably going to be 25 25 to 28 they lose. I think they can keep it.
Michelle, to the other half of the bracket, and of course, we have a really good one there in Lapel and Pendleton. Neither one does their record really show it, but both teams, of course, I think you would probably, especially with Lapel having beaten Frankton earlier this year, say that two of the top three teams, um, maybe even the top three teams, are all in this half of the bracket. Liberty Christian and Frankton could probably make an argument by the end of the year, maybe, but right now it certainly looks like those teams are the favorites. Your thoughts on Lapel at Pendleton Heights? Of course, mentioned a little bit that they played each other already this year. Pendleton Heights won at Lapel by 7 points, but it was a game that Lapel was very competitive in.
Yes, and again, Lapel was not at full strength, so that's going to be an interesting matchup, I think, because when they're back at full strength, and assuming they're back at full strength, not
Yes.
knowing illness wise, because I know there's a lot of flu and
Yep.
stuff going around. It went around my family at Christmas time, and so and I know there's a lot going on out there. So, but assuming that both teams are healthy, it's going to be I think it's going to be a fantastic game. It, both teams are well coached. Both teams have solid players on them, and you know, they know both teams know how to win, and so again, it's just come down to the little things: who controls the glass, who commits fewer turnovers, and who can knock down free throws, and and maybe if a team gets a little hot from 3-point range. Because I will say, when you get close games, sometimes that's if a team can get hot behind the 3-point line, that makes a big difference.
Side note that Pendleton Heights has won 90% of the games ever played between these two in a series. As we mentioned earlier this year when we talked to Kevin Cherry about the game, when we previewed that one way back when, the first time we ever talked to him. But speaking of Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry, here he is talking about getting a second shot at the Arabians. Well, Coach, it's rare in high school basketball that you get a second shot at a team. So I bet your team's looking forward to seeing Pendleton Heights again.
Yeah, we are. We're excited for the challenge. Obviously, their record is very misleading.
Yes.
They played some good teams, very, very close, and it's going to be a great challenge for us to go over there, and hopefully we can keep it competitive and get to the second half with a chance to win.
Yeah, that's a team that's been playing really well lately. They seem to have found their go-to scorer in Cooper Sims. Singh runs the game well. They've got a quality big man in Estes. It seems like Pendleton's coming together at the right time.
Just as you'd expect from a Coach Buck team. And that's what I've stressed to our guys all along, that, going over to Pendleton to play those guys, they're looking forward to that, but we're going to get their best shot. They're not going to overlook us, and they're going to be prepared. And, we're going to have to play very well to have a chance to win. But you're right, Sims is playing very good. On film, Fox is starting to hit more shots. He made shots against us, but he's continually starting to do that with some consistency. So they've got some weapons. And then I think Singh poses it's a good matchup for them in terms of the way they can put him on Bodie, Judge. There's not a lot of teams on our schedule that can match that kind of physicality, but certainly Singh can do that for them. And then, like you said, Estes is playing well for them. So they have a lot of good pieces. And I anticipate a very good game.
Besides, obviously winning, what do you want to see from your team on Monday?
Well, I just want to go compete. go compete. If the shots don't go in, or let's just control the things we can control. Play as hard as you possibly can for 32 minutes, and then let's just see what happens. We want to win the Madison County Tourney. There's no doubt about that. We talk about it every year, and that's certainly a goal of ours. But everything we're doing from this point forward is all geared towards how can we make a run late into February and March. And so Christmas break was good for us in terms of, I think we found some things, and I'm excited for this back half of the season to continue to develop that. And so, yeah, we're ready to get started. Hopefully we'll play well, and we can win over at Pendleton. But again, that'll be a huge challenge for us.
How's the health of your team?
We're good. We had a few, our practices were competitive this over Christmas break, and guys were going pretty hard. So we got some bumps and bruises, but for the most part, we're as healthy as can be expected.
Michelle, I've been spending a lot of time during the holidays streaming high school basketball games. One of the last ones I saw left a huge impression on me. Pendleton Heights fourth quarter against Chittard. They just completely ran them out of the gym. They looked fantastic. They've got a great point guard in Ashan Singh, who is fantastic at running the point, being in charge of the offense. Cooper Sims, go-to scorer, one of the best around, a pretty good big man, a couple of pretty good big men. And I think Pendleton Heights might give Anderson something in the second round. And in this one, I'm taking the Arabians by 11.
That's a tough one because that's about where I was thinking. I was thinking around 10 to 12. And Pendleton Heights, I think Pendleton Heights will win again. I think they're a pretty good team that is playing pretty well right now. All right, I'm going to say over, right? But I don't think it's going to be much over that. I just think Pendleton Heights is going to have enough to maybe to pull away a little bit. Having an explosive stretch or quarter and pull away a little bit. So I'll say more.
And the final game is 2-8 Alexandria at 8-1 Anderson. That just keeps showing more and more every game that they are going to be a team to be reckoned with for the rest of the season. You could look at their schedule and see them winning the rest of their regular season games. Of course, they are in that sectional that is really tough with Mount Vernon and Greenfield Central and Pendleton Heights as well. Alexandria is 2-8 and very young, but here's the thing that I think about this game, that most teams can't match up with Anderson athletically, and Alexandria has really good athletes.
They do, but I'm not sure that they're at the basketball when you can try to combine the skill and
No, that's
I don't think they're at Anderson level.
No, they are definitely not on the same skill level. But I think athletically, and they're
I'm
probably
not
not they're probably not quite on Anderson's level athletically, but athletically, Anderson's not going to run them out of the gym.
Oh, I think they will. I think the King Kid will dominate.
Oh, I'm sure he will, but I'd say that 33 is my prediction.
33. I'm going to go more. I think it could be 30. I mean, because that's kind of what I was saying. I was thinking anywhere from 30 to 40. So I'll go more.
Yeah, I see that the Sagarin is about 50. I see that John Harrell has Anderson by 51, and I just don't think it'll be. There's a type of team that has no chance against Anderson that will be overwhelmed just because they don't have the same types of players. Alexandria has at least two kids who are extraordinary athletes in multiple sports. Not quite the same skill level as you said, and much younger. Anderson is a bunch of seniors. Of course, the Bowling brothers give them a nice future ahead. So it's not like Anderson doesn't have a nice future. But right now, they're almost all seniors. Alexandria is mostly sophomores with a few juniors.
Yeah. We want to go ahead. I think Anderson I think they're going to be playing in the championship. I think that's going to be a great game, semifinal game with Anderson and Pendleton Heights. But I think Anderson will win it. In fact, I think Anderson will have a three-peat as far as being county tournament.
4-peat. They won the last 3.
Four-peat, sorry. Four-peat in the county tournament.
I agree. I would put that level about 85%. I do like Pendleton's chances against Anderson a little bit, but I'd put Anderson's odds of winning this tournament at about 85%. Frankton, Liberty Christian, Anderson Prep have to really like their chances of getting there as well.
Oh, they do. And, let's not make any mistake, because if it's Liberty Christian that gets there, they're going to believe that they belong there.
Yeah, they were leading Anderson in the fourth quarter earlier this year.
Yeah, and
Anderson has looked completely different in the last couple of games, though.
Oh yes, they have. But Frankton's really well coached too, and so I think the boys tournament is going to give you some more competitive first round games, and I think I just think it's going to be more competitive
Should be a
overall.
couple of really good semifinals.
Yes, definitely should be.
If things go the way they're expected to go. Well, either way, although I wouldn't think that Lapel would be quite as competitive with Anderson as Pendleton Heights would be, but you could definitely see Lapel beating Pendleton Heights.
Yeah, I mean, because Lapel, when you say something about like the 3-point range, Lapel's very capable of getting hot from 3.
It's a good point.
And
Yeah.
if they do that, I mean,
Yeah.
if they can get hot from 3 and put on a little run with those 3-point shots, then I think, then their odds become better as far as beating Pendleton Heights.
Absolutely. So we agree. Anderson, what do you think the odds are? 85% more or less that Anderson comes away with this?
I think you're right. I think you're right on it. I'll say 85% too. And I'll say 85% at this stage because, again, don't know. I mean, we're assuming everybody's healthy and
Right.
everything like that. So,
But
I like
we will
that.
be talking about it for the rest of the week. So everybody make sure you tune in. We will have results on Tuesday, assuming the game is played. If not, we'll have our weekend review, so we'll have plenty of content still. And then the game would be moved to Tuesday, as we mentioned. The games, 4 different locations. But whenever the games are played, Michelle, we will have it covered. Please stay tuned for Rob Hunt of the Herald-Bulletin.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
All right, Rob, unlike the girls, it looks like the boys' Madison County Tournament is almost seeded.
Yeah, it does look that way a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, you got the last year's 2 finalists. I think a lot of people would say could belong in the finals again would be Anderson and Liberty Christian, although Pendleton Heights might have something to say about that.
I think there might be a Frankton team that might have something
There
to say
might be a
about
Frankton team. I think that Frankton APA boys team game could be one of the most intriguing first round games on either side of the bracket. And I'm including the Pendleton girls game in that. APA boys took Liberty Christian to the very limit.
Yes, they
here
did.
Recently, and
Surprised me.
And part of that, I mean, Liberty was missing one of their players, but it didn't matter. APA played well.
Yes.
And they have been playing well. They're a solid team.
That record is not a fluke.
It is not a fluke on either side, the boys or girls for APA. And you look at the Frankton boys. I mean, they play a tough early season schedule. Certainly with Lapel and Wapahani and Monroe Central, some of those early games. But they've got a couple guys. Brady Carmack and Joey Wright are playing very, very well right now, as is Trey Bennett, who was kind of a surprise the way he's playing early in the year. I think that could be a really interesting matchup. Some really good guard play in that one. The point guard position for both teams is really solid. Brady Carmack's just as tough as they get on the interior. So I think that one could be a lot of fun to watch. And I for one, I'm glad that Phil Beebe will be there to cover that, because that'll be an interesting matchup.
And the way Pendleton Heights has been playing the last couple of games, you know that Joe Buck and Cooper Sims and Ashan Singh and Joe Estes are really looking forward to another shot at Anderson if they can get by the first round.
Yes, they definitely, they got to be feeling good after knocking off Liberty Christian, right? I think
Yes.
that was a game that I don't know what most people thought. I kind of felt like Pendleton would have a good shot at winning that game, but they really kind of handled it.
Yes. And then Chittard in the fourth quarter on Saturday
Right.
looked fantastic.
Yes, that was an impressive win as well. So that's a team feeling pretty good about themselves. They already beat Lapel earlier in this year. Now they're going to play well to do it again. And then one assumes that Anderson could beat Alexandria in the first round, and then that sets up maybe an Anderson Pendleton Heights semifinal, which that's always awesome when those two teams get to play with something on the line. So.
But Lapel is a team.
Pendleton Heights is a team that could maybe challenge Anderson in that semifinal.
Absolutely, and Lapel is a team that feels like they can beat Pendleton Heights. They were right with them the first time they played till late in the game, and so Pendleton even getting there isn't assured. That's for certain.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you got Brody and Bodie Judge, and Brody's playing really well again. I think he had a couple off games, but Brody Judge from the perimeter, when he gets that stroke going, he's tough, and that's another really good first round game. And Lapel's going to go into that game thinking they can win the game. I think if you've been around Lapel at all, you know that they never go. No other sports go into a game thinking they're going to get beat. So
that's another team whose record is deceiving.
Yeah, it is. It is. They played a really tough schedule.
Pendleton, Lapel, and Frankton.
Right, and Anderson's the same way. They play a pretty tough schedule, and they're winning all over.
Right,
so
that's the difference. I'm going to talk about them next.
Yeah, we can jump right into it. I mean, Damian King is playing at a really high level right now.
They were very impressive against Yorktown. They were very impressive against Pike. Very impressive in that tournament, man.
Yeah, and,
seems like the loss to Mount Vernon kind of switched a gear in them or something.
Yeah, and I think that one's going to be a head scratcher all year. It's like, how did they lose that? Because
Mount Vernon's really good for one.
Well, yeah, but I watched that game, and at no point in that game watching it did I feel like Mount Vernon was the far better team.
Right.
So that was kind of that's going to be a head scratcher, and that's probably that might be something that Anderson can use as motivation when they get to that sectional, because Mount Vernon's going to be right there. But Damian King's a junior all-star last year. We expect him to be an Indiana all-star this year. Colin Lewis at the point guard is really good. They've really got some size. Javon Warfield is really scoring.
Yeah.
And then Coach Bowling's sons, Don and
get better every game, don't they?
They get better every game, and they're deep. They've got length. Their one weakness is they don't shoot the ball real well from the perimeter. But when you've got that kind of size, you can get to the basket the way they do. They're tough. They are really tough to beat.
And looking at their schedule going forward, a little past the tournament here, if they can win the tournament, there are some really good teams on the schedule. Don't get me wrong, but they have to like their chances of ending with an and one at the end of their season, a regular season.
Sure. I think that's they've set the bar high under Bowling's tenure. They expect to win 20 games. Now the one thing they expect to do that they haven't done yet under it is win a sectional, and they've been close.
Not going to be easy again.
They will not be easy this year. The Mullins phenomena
right.
at Greenfield is real. They're gonna, and that's a stacked sectional. It is,
and a team that just beat them on their own floor.
Yep, absolutely. So
I don't think Muncie Central's quite ready. If Pendleton Heights got the right draw, I could see them being competitive. And Richmond again, probably not quite there, but a team that could win a game against almost any team in this field. So it's going to be a tough one. But we're not quite ready to talk about that, except for Anderson should have high expectations the way they've looked lately.
Yeah, I agree, and that's you start looking at some of those maybe semifinal matchups in that county. If it's Anderson and Pendleton Heights, I mean, for joy, that's the matchup you kind of want to see at some point in the tournament. If not in the championship game, certainly in the semifinal. But Lapel's a team that could. I think they might struggle maybe with the depth and athleticism that Anderson has.
Agreed.
But boy, I keep saying, man, you get Brody Judge hot,
yeah,
and he can stroke it. He can stroke it, and that 3-point shot's the great equalizer. So, and then on the other side, I would favor Liberty Christian to come out of that Elwood game, and then a possible rematch with APA. And you don't think the Jets are licking their chops, want another crack at that one? But it could be Frankton, which
I'll take Frankton, Rob. I like Liberty Christian; they're a good team. I think matchup wise, I'll take Frankton, but I think I said that a couple of games recently, and they've lost. So,
well, I would tend to agree. I think Liberty Christian is probably the better team, but I will never doubt Brent Brobston's ability to get his team ready to go. He will maximize his team's strengths, and he will find a weakness in your team and exploit it. And if his players execute his game plan, I mean, there's no reason to think they couldn't beat anybody in this field.
And they've got a really good point guard who helps him execute what he wants, and that's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, a good point guard is, it's like a coach on the floor, and that's kind of the way Joey Wright has always been described. And he's had that position now for 3 years. This is his third year starting as a point guard, and he's he makes good decisions. He can hit a shot when he needs to. He hit a game winner, I believe it was last year against Lapel. So he can score it. He can find the open man. He's literally a floor general out there. He really controls the tempo and sets the defense and does all those things that Coach Brobston needs him to do.
Thanks again to Michelle Garmon and Rob Hunt for helping out with the Central Indiana Sports Report, and also to Frankton head coach Brent Brobston, Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King, and Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thanks most of all to you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow us on your favorite podcasting platform, and now YouTube, so you don't miss a single segment. And it would be very helpful to us if you would tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report. The Central Indiana Sports Report is brought to you by DG Media and I Love Susie.